You are welcome here. You are welcome.
Hey y'all, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for coming out here to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I do not know if we are live streaming today. There seemed to be a little tiny issue. Okay, I see Jennifer shaking her head. We're on the phone. Okay, good. So for those of you who are watching on the phone or on whatever, I don't understand. It's technology. It's beyond me. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, whether you're here in person or whether you're watching at home or whether you're watching later on YouTube. It's just great to have you here and great to know that we're all sharing in this message together. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our board what are you? Person and practitioner emeritus, Bernie. Yay! See?
I've never gotten applause before. That's
well,
great.
see?
Thank you. Welcome. We're very excited for today's program. The infamous Reverend Bonnie will be interviewed by Alicia Doyle.
Yes.
And guess who else is here? Our Monday meditation singer,
Kelly
Jean.
Jean.
So we're very excited.
Yeah.
So we're very excited to have you all here, and we hope that you enjoy it. And if you go home to watch it later, we hope you get to see it later too. So,
Thank you.
So welcome.
Oh, thanks. And yeah, special shout out for Ed, who I think turned around the car and got his old-fashioned recording equipment for later on. Yay, Ed and
Thank
Lucky.
you, Ed.
All righty. Thanks, Bernie. And now I think we're going to hear from Mr. Bill about youth and family. Mr. Bill. Yeah. That's right.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bill.
Does anyone ever feel maxed out? Is downtime, time when you don't have anything to do, as important to you as time filled with activities? Yes. Yeah? Oh. This is a good crowd. What happens when you don't have enough downtime?
Burnout. Burnout, I heard.
A little burnout.
Yeah.
Grumpy.
Grumpy.
Ooh.
Who turns grumpy when they don't have enough? Oh, wow, I'm scared. Woohoo, 2 hands.
How do you relax during busy times? Oh, walking in nature. Very nice. Meditation. Well, do you know breathing is something we do automatically without even thinking? Too busy to breathe. However, we can control our breath and use it consciously. I'm going to try something. Usually I have helpers up here. Does anybody want to come down and help me?
Yeah, come on.
Come on down, Nico. Do you want to help?
Nico.
Hawk, you guys going to help?
All right.
Awesome.
Oh. Whoa.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you.
All right. I invite you, your children.
You can stay. It's okay. You can stay. Hi. Feel free.
So I invite you to stand up if you want. My helpers, you guys going to stand up with me? No?
Would you like some help getting up the stairs? There you go. Good job. Oh, good job. What a pretty pink dress.
All right. So stand up if you want. And let's see if you can start pumping your arms. Stay in one place, move your legs. Can you go faster? Can you go faster? Okay, you can stop. That's
awesome.
Notice your breathing. Is it faster?
A little bit.
Oh. Now I invite you to sit, relax, notice if any parts of you still feel like they're moving. Anybody? Take a breath. Feel your lungs fill like a balloon. Let it out. Feel them deflate. Feel your lungs getting bigger and smaller. Can you feel a change? Yeah.
Yeah, you got that?
Every moment of every day, we can change our thinking about ourselves, others, and our choices. Renewal is that sense of peace we experience when we remember everything is possible. I invite you all to repeat after me. My thoughts and feelings work to create my peaceful reality.
My thoughts and feelings work to create my peaceful reality.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
You are the peace of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Let's have a word of prayer from Reverend Karen.
Oh, thank you, Reverend Bonnie,
My pleasure.
our beautiful author of Dancing with Dogs. I was going to say
Dances,
dances.
with dogs.
I was going to say wolves, but I
Yeah, it's dances with dogs. Okay.
Thank you for standing, all of our practitioners and ministers here this morning, joining us. As we breathe, as we remember to breathe, which I often don't do, we bring in the breath of God, the breath of Spirit, the breath of the Creator of all life, that which created each and every living person, creature, thing upon this earth, in this starship of planets, within all the galaxies, ours and all that surround us, all that we know, all that we do not know. It is all of Spirit. It is all of God. Our hearts beat as one in that presence, that beautiful presence of love, of kindness, of creativity, that presence of God within each and every one of us that is our light, the light we came into this world with, the light that we go out of this world with. It does not diminish. It grows brighter and brighter, and as our bodies deteriorate, that light has gone on to live forever and become stronger and stronger and go on to different journeys throughout this whole existence of planets, of life, of everything. And I absolutely know that this service unfolds beautifully today through Reverend Bonnie, through her heart, as God speaks to her, and for each of us individually to take a message, to take the messages that come from her heart, through her, from God. And as a whole, as a congregation, as people who are here today, absolutely knowing that we are special, that we go out into this world and we shine our lights. We walk through doors that are closed to us. We open them with confidence and knowing that God walks with us. We do not do anything alone. We do it all with God, for God is the expression of who we are. God is the light within us. God is the light that shines through us. God is the caring, the acceptance, and the beauty of all life, on all levels and in all forms. And knowing this, in gratitude, please join me as I release this prayer into the universal law, the beauty, the heart of God, and together we say, and so it is.
And so it is. Okay, I'm doing the reading because it's a reading from my book, Dances with Dogs. So this is an excerpt.
There you go.
Thank you. In the early 1990s, my husband and I attended an off-Broadway show called The Boys Next Door. It's a serious comedy about people who live in a group home for adults who are differently abled. This play offers the audience a thoughtful perspective on the home residents and their caretakers. It allows us to find beauty in the wide spectrum of human conditions. I remember one staggering scene in this play. The residents of the group home attend a social gathering in a gym, and this is not the dance in the gym scene from West Side Story, people. There are no gorgeous gang members doing flirty choreography, no potential for turf warfare. In this scene, two residents, Norma and Sheila, shuffle over to each other. Norman is overweight. He's wearing mismatched plaids. His pants are pulled up above his waist, leaving a wide expanse of white socks at the cuff. Sheila is pudgy with slumped posture. She has a protruding middle and wears a thrift store tweed skirt with a fussy yellow ruffled blouse partially untucked. They speak to each other abruptly without nuance or grace. They blurt out well-meaning comments, but they say the wrong things. They overshare. You can tell they like each other, and soon they begin a slow, lumbering dance out of time with the music. But suddenly, the music becomes louder and the lights become softer. The audience enters a dream state with Norman and Sheila. We enter their reality where they are not their bodies and not their simple minds. They are smitten, and their love makes them glamorous. They glow as they gaze into each other's eyes. They become a modern-day Fred and Ginger as their simple movements soar and their inner beauty dissolves outer disabilities. That moment lasted only 10 seconds, but my husband and I both sobbed out loud in the theater. I still cry when I think of it, because sometimes for an instant, I'm Norman and Sheila. Sometimes my inner lights change and I find grace in my ordinary life. It happens when I dance with my dogs. We have two Hungarian Vizslas, big, red-haired, muscular, high-energy pointers. Both are treat hounds, and by that I mean treat harlots. They willingly endure the indignities I impose upon them, all for a scrap of kibble. Often when I should be doing something grown-up, I play a recording of an accordion solo, the Yulida Polka. I wear an oversized pink Life is Good hoodie and decrepit black and white polka dot pajama bottoms that sag at the knees. I fill my pockets with kibble and corral the dogs. The treats inspire them to perform hit or miss choreography. I command rapid sits and downstays. We lope through a polka figure 8. Our older dog wanders off to harass our cat, and the puppy pauses to yelp at a fragment of kibble that rolled under the couch, and I bellow at them to come back and pay attention. And we keep dancing. The dogs and I performed an unruly rendition of the dance for Chris, a theater-savvy friend. Chris laughed and clapped in all the right places. Afterwards, he said, "You know it needs work, right?" Yes. Like life itself, the dance is messy, and yet we dance imperfectly and joyfully for hours. Hours. See, I'm the senior minister of a church, and there are sermons to write, interfaith activities to plan, and hospital visits to attend. Weddings, funerals, and fundraisers tug at me. I have a life outside the church, a husband, and 20-plus animals. I need to do something about the pet hair toupee sprouting on the living room rug. I should fill in our rabbit's garden excavation project and vanquish the poop pileup in the backyard. Yet the polka beckons. The dance may be an elaborate procrastination strategy, something to help me avoid the treachery of responsibilities I fear and face daily, something to keep me from inhabiting my life fully. It is. But then there's a place in our polka, a place where the music changes. We hear an accordion fanfare, and I coax the dogs to parade around me in a slow circle. In my mind, the lights dim, the room becomes hazy, and I'm in a dream. I'm Norman and Sheila in that scene from The Boys Next Door, an imagined, or is it real, version of myself. I am a circus performer with a dancer's posture. I'm wearing red patent leather cowboy boots and a gold sequin crinoline, and I have a stunning command of the animal kingdom, my 2 Vizsla lions. As I turn, I smile at the imagined audience. The dogs cooperate, and for a moment, I am accomplished. I am significant. I am bold. It occurs to me I may also be delusional. But probably not, because when I'm 99 or so, when the dogs are long gone, when I have 3 teeth, and I'm living on gray vegan puree, when I'm wearing adult diapers, you think that's funny, do you? Maybe I'll look back if my mind is clear enough to do so. Sure, yeah, I'll remember the accomplishments of my life. The answered prayers, the music, the mystery, the church that changed lives. But I hope I remember most my clumsy dance with the dogs, my clumsy dance with all creation, like it's the holiest thing on earth, because it is. Namaste.
Sun on my face, wind through the trees, bird song so soft and the buzzing of bees, little green leaves dangling down, feet in the dirt, roots in the ground. She's calling me, bringing me home. I'm breathing her in, long, deep, and slow. She's calling me, guiding me home with lavender breezes and rosemary soul. Open up your heart, open up your heart, open up your heart, open up your heart. blue sky bursting with clouds, hawks overhead circling round, golden light rays, mountaintop crown, feet in the dirt, roots in the ground. She's calling me, bringing me home. I'm breathing her in, long, deep and slow. She's calling me, guiding me home with lavender breezes and rosemary soul. Open up your heart, open up your heart, open up your heart, open up your heart. She's calling me, bringing me home. I'm breathing her in, long, deep and slow. She's calling me, guiding me home with lavender breezes and rosemary soul. Open up your heart, open up your heart, open up your heart, open up your heart. Ooh.
So before we get started with this little interview thing that we're doing here, I want to introduce the person that will be interviewing me, and that is Alicia Doyle. Some of you met Alicia Doyle when she spoke here a while back. She's an award-winning journalist, and I knew her years and years ago because she was the good news reporter for the VC Star, and she used to cover a lot of the events that we had here. And then, much to my surprise, I found out that prior to that incarnation, 20 years ago, she was a champion boxer. A champion female boxer when there weren't many female boxers around, right? You were one of the early ones. She wrote a book about it called Fighting Chance, and it's actually, we have some for sale in our bookstore today. But in terms of how we're connected, we became friends when I interviewed her for Fighting Chance when she was here. But also, Alicia was the editor for my book, and she's become much more than an editor. She's become a friend, and she's just a beautiful soul. So please join me in welcoming Alicia. Thank you. And I'm wondering, before we start, there they are. There's my slide. Yay. Does this thing work today? Okay, fingers are crossed. Good. Okay. Thank you. So, hi.
Thank you, Reverend Bonnie.
Thank you.
I really appreciate the introduction, and
you.
it's such an honor to be here and to be back. I love being here. The excerpt that you read from Dances with Dogs, and as the editor, we edit it numerous times in order for it to be perfect, so I had the pleasure of reading this manuscript many times, and that scene with Stella and Norman just brought me to tears every time.
Thank you.
It was so beautiful, such powerful work.
Thank you.
So thank you for bringing that to us.
Sure, absolutely.
So let's dive in.
Uh-oh.
I think we just start? What is Dances with Dogs all about?
What is Dances with Dogs all about? Well, it's about a lot of stuff. I mean, I'll tell you kind of the superficial version of what it's about, and I'm going to show you some pictures. So many people, that's me speaking in some language. Okay, many people ask me, how did you get here in this church? And that's a picture of my four sisters and me. I'm the little one sitting on my sister Nancy's lap, and then that's a picture of Hugh and me back in the day when we did a Broadway tour together where we both acted in it, and I was the cat handler for the show. So there's the cat handling business, right? And then I was an opera singer for a while. That's me at the opera, sitting backstage at the opera. And then that little girl is me, and I really feel like that's the person who wrote this book. Is this little child? It's written from a great place of innocence, but you also know, like, children who are innocent sometimes will say anything. You know, so there's a little bit of that in there too, perhaps non-ministerial language. And throughout this, there's also this through line of my relationship with my dog Stella. Like some of you who have been here for a while remember Stella. She passed away about 10 years ago, and she's one of the reasons I came to the church, which you can read about in the book. She died too young, as my mother. That's a picture of my mother. My mother died when she was too young as well. My mom died when I was 17. So there's this through line of grief running through this sort of mystical comedy. And the whole thing is encapsulated in what I teach here all the time is what I would call mystical non-duality, in that there is this land of absolute reality that is beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing. It's beyond the ideas of good and evil. It's beyond life and death. There is this power and this presence that holds all of us. And the book comes at that in a very human way. So that's kind of the overriding principle of the book. But the personal part of it is that for many years, despite my resume and things that I've done, I really struggled with insecurity and fear of failure and shame and all kinds of things that felt like they were holding me back, anxiety. And even releasing this book has been quite a stressful task for me, except guess what? This is a really good remedy for anxiety. It's not in the book, but I just came up with it yesterday. I just read a book about somebody who did stuff much worse than me. So, I'll recommend this book maybe before we go. But anyway, it's looking at a bunch of ways of, first, looking at ways to look at life, ways to pray, and ways to put feet to our prayers, to deal with the challenges of being human. And the basic conclusion of the book is that there is a perfection to all of it, that God really has a sense of humor, and that God sometimes has a sense of humor that doesn't feel particularly funny to us in the moment, but when we look back, it can be quite entertaining and amusing. So that's kind of the basic premise of the book.
It's wonderful,
Yeah.
and there's wonderful vulnerability in the book.
Yes.
It definitely makes you laugh, but I got quite a bit out of it every time I read it.
Well, you know what I heard about vulnerability? And you just tell me to shut up if I'm talking too much. I'm used to it. Okay. Guess what, people? Vulnerability is on trend right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you hear that? Does anybody know that? Did anybody heard that? I went to a seminar, marketing ceremony, and a seminar, and they said vulnerability is quite trendy right now. So I'm like, well, I'm ahead of the curve then. So, yeah.
There's so many wonderful nuggets of wisdom and tidbits of your life, and I love how you interspersed everything together. And these date back quite a way, so I'm wondering who or what inspired you to write Dances with Dogs?
The church, you guys. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I heard that. No, you guys. I mean, this sort of brought it all into perspective coming here, and if you choose to buy it, you'll read that it was not very pleasant at the beginning, and please forgive me for the things that I say. But it really was about looking at what was happening in the church when I inherited the church, looking through a lens of shame, unexamined shame and unexamined fear of failure. And as I said in the book, you know, it was hard doing the Broadway tour because I felt like I was an imposter. I felt like I was underqualified to do it, and I had terrible self-talk about it, but I kind of fixed that. And then I got the church, and it was an opportunity to serve at a greater level, which is what I wanted. But I said in the book, it was also an opportunity for my insecurities to ratchet up about 100 points, because I despite what you may see, I'm quite the introvert, and I don't really like being exposed in public. And I go in the social hall, and my face is all over the social hall now with the posters, and for this book, and it's the vulnerability thing. It's like I'm glad vulnerability is on trend, but I wish God could have picked something else, like whatever. So the church, and then there's other things too that I'll talk about in a minute. But with the vulnerability piece, I came to the church. That's that slide. The vulnerability piece. This other aspect of the church and of healing from this idea that we're so vulnerable. I like to redact this phrase because many people who come here very often, I force the congregation to say it with me, so let's say it together. The kingdom of heaven is spread upon the earth, but we do not see it. And then the other one, which I don't say as much, is we walk sightless among miracles. Good job. Okay, yeah. And so the point of the book, too, is to make the redactions go away, but also to change that phrase. That first sentence is from the Gospel of Thomas, and it's the kingdom of heaven is spread upon the earth. May we see it, be it, live it, and love it as it is in everything, including ourselves. So that's the point, is for us to fall in love with our whole life. To fall in love with our whole life. And it may take a little bit of vulnerability. I often said if I rewrote this book, I would call it that. This is a real book title, people. I found it. I have not read the book, but it is a bit like having a public something. I'll say colonoscopy because is supposed to be funny, right? So, night of the colonoscopy, and there's also this business of that going on all the time. But what was your question? What inspired you? So it certainly was all of you guys, but it also was my whole life, really, the whole life of growing up where I grew up with these parents that were wonderful parents, and yet I came out a little perfectionistic and a little ashamed, a little whatever, I can't think of the right word. But then, there's so many good things. All of my animals, including that big hairy animal sitting over there with the beard. He's been such an inspiration to me. My husband, Hugh, we're all animals. That wasn't an insult, right? What are we? We're all animals, right? We got to do this again. Turn to somebody and say, we're all animals.
We're all animals.
Right. Turn to somebody else and say, you're a big hairy animal. Good job, people. Okay. All right. So, so many different sources of inspiration. And, as you may know as a writer, so many sources of doubt.
Absolutely.
Have you noticed? Have you noticed? Anybody here write that you think you can't do it? Yeah. There are days when you think, I've got nothing. Yeah. Right? And you force yourself to do it, and you're like, this will never work, and you go to bed, and then in the middle of the night, some solution comes to you, and you know how to work something out.
Yes.
It doesn't always happen the same night, but it happens eventually, right?
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah.
Those signs from the universe.
Yes.
And that's something else I loved about the book is your attention to detail of the signs from the universe that you received through so many things that led you to a new epiphany or a new solution.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was wondering what were the biggest challenges for you in writing this book, and then how did you cope with overcoming them?
The biggest challenges, and how did I overcome them? Well, self-doubt, what I said, like thinking, who am I to write a book? No, who knows? Let's say, trying to think of somebody famous. Let's say Alicia Doyle writes a book. Everybody wants to read about that. She's a boxer, for God's sake, or Kathleen Turner writes a book. And I don't know about that, but anyway, people that are famous that have done great things, people who have climbed Mount Everest. I was a cat handler, and I ran a church, and I was a nurse and a corporate trainer. Big deal. So, and what wisdom do I have? So a lot of self-doubt, and just I've never done it before. Have you ever tried something that you've never done before, and you know what it's like? It doesn't feel possible, and then just I think. Hugh always tells me, just sit down and do it. Just sit down and do it. Just sit down and put your fingers on the keyboard, and something will happen. And Anne Lamott says, she says a bad word. I'm no stranger to bad words, as you may find in the book, but she says, I'll call it a horrible first draft. You have to write a horrible first draft. And I actually named my folder Horrible First Draft for the first draft that I wrote. So that, and just giving myself permission to fail at first, and then just trusting. I wouldn't even say that I trusted. It just sort of happened. It just like letting it go. What Bill was saying today, like just taking a nap or going to sleep or just breathing, and then eventually something would come in, and it would be okay. Yeah. And then yeah.
How long did it take?
Only 10 years.
Okay.
No.
Only a decade.
No, but when my dog Stella passed away, so a lot of you know that Stella is the reason I came to this church, which doesn't sound very holy. I doubt that Martin Luther King came to his church because of his dog, but it's the truth. I can't help it. She's the reason I decided that I wanted to come to this church, and plus she also, because I like the beaches in Ventura, and also when I, for her, and also when I submitted my picture, there was a headshot with a dog in it, and Karen, who was on the search committee, said that they really liked it that I had a dog in my picture, so it felt like a good fit for a minute, and then it didn't for 10 years. but what was the question?
Well, let's. I would love to know what the feedback has been so far.
Oh, okay. Mostly good. Excuse me. Yeah, it's. I think we were talking about fears before. One of my fears is that people would have hurt feelings if they read it. That people, like for people that were there in the early days of the church. So, do you know the book The Children of the Corn by Stephen King? Okay. I used to call the Church of the Corn, and and it wasn't about the people. It was because I was the minister of the corn. I was processing information in a way that everything looked like an insult, and everything looked like shame, and everything looked like rejection, and. But I was afraid that people wouldn't see that when they read it, and they would think it was about them when it really wasn't. It was about my own self-rejection and my own shame. And so afraid of hurting people's feelings. There are people that were here during that time that survived, and my ineptness. I mean, I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't listen to those classes in ministerial school because I never wanted to be a minister. I just wanted to be a chaplain. So that feedback, I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings, and I did hurt somebody's feelings, and that was really challenging. It wasn't a Church of the Corn person. It was somebody else, and he didn't like the way I portrayed him. So we worked it out, and what I'm finding with this, and a lot of the other feedback has been really good. Like people like it. I thought about having a few testimonials come up here and say that they liked it, but that felt a little self-serving. But so a lot of the feedback has been good. But what I'm finding is that, okay, this happens all the time. I think it happens in marriage. You plan a wedding, you get married, and you're like, everybody, ah, right? Let's do that again when I say 3. 1, 2, 3. Much better. Or you have a baby and the baby gets here and you go, oh, you're so much better at that. That's so good. I love that. Okay, good. Yeah, so it's like you write a book. It is a bit like shooting a square baby out of, never mind. But it's here and you think, I'm complete, I'm done. But no, that's where the real work begins, is dealing with people's reactions. I'm teaching a class on it. If it wasn't colonoscopy enough yet, I'm teaching a class on it. And then also dealing with all of the logistics, like the web designer's asking me, what are my terms and conditions? You make them up, I don't know. So there's just so much, am I right?
Yeah.
It's not having a baby and then it raises itself. It's having a baby and then you have to work with it almost every single day.
That's right.
And that's where the lessons are. And there's actually a chapter about that in the book where I emceed a festival it was a large festival up in Berkeley. It was the Berkeley Buddhist Festival. Yeah, and some folks from here came up with me, and it was a big crowd, and I'm not Buddhist, I'm Buddhist adjacent, and yet they had me there, and I was nervous about being on stage, but I found out that 80% of the work is what happens backstage. 80% of the work is corralling Buddhist monks, and them monks is frisky, man, and they all look alike. I mean, I hate to profile monks, but they all have shaved heads and robes, and you're like, where's so and so? Well, what does he look like? Well, he's got a shaved head and a robe. Okay, I'll get to work on that. But so much of the work is backstage, and that's how I felt about this book. Like, it was arduous to get it together and to give birth to it, but it was. I think most of the work is coping with managing the responses in a way that seems. The words that keep coming to my mind are compassionate and understanding. Either compassionate of people's objections to it or compassionate of people's growth through it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. I've got so much compassion for you that you read that line and you loved it and it's changing your life. Isn't that so cool? Right. Yeah.
Has it hit you yet that you've done this? I mean, that you wrote this remarkable piece of literature, this piece of art? Has it hit you yet? Do you realize how awesome you are? Do you realize that?
What?
I mean, do you look in the mirror and look in your own eyes and recognize that you've accomplished something really remarkable with this book?
Do you?
Not yet.
Me either. Oh my God, we're twins.
Yeah, not
yeah,
yet.
Not
it's
yet.
a strange feeling, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, who wrote that?
Yeah.
It has my name on it, but.
Right,
yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
One of one of many aspects of the book that I love is at the end of every chapter there are prompts to engage you, to make you think, head, heart, and hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, how do you hope to affect readers with those prompts, or what your intention was behind those prompts?
Yeah. So I think what happens is that a lot of us read spiritual books and we think, okay, we got it. I got this down pat. I know this principle. Therefore, my life will change. But it's one thing to understand it intellectually, and it's one thing to really start to embody it and feel it in your heart, and then either gut or hands, body, whatever, intuition. I think we have to live like the truth is true. You've heard, y'all who come here a lot, you've heard me say that a lot. It's a Richard Rohr quote. We live like the truth is true. So we have to actually physically do something. It's very similar to reading a book about driving or swimming, and it's not the same unless you get in the water or you get behind the wheel of a car, right? So like some of the prompts are just to help us understand how these things work with us, and because we're all individual expressions of the divine, it's all going to work slightly differently. So in one of the many disclaimers in the beginning of the book, I talk about how if these prompts work for you, great. If they don't, adapt them or just leave them alone if they don't. But like an example of one is there's a story about how see, now this is embarrassing. It was when I first started out, and I went to preside over a funeral, and there were a bunch of ministers there speaking, and it was only like my third funeral. I hadn't done very many. And then after the funeral, nobody complimented me because it was about me, And so I decided, I just had this modestly brilliant idea that I wanted praise, so I was going to give what I wanted to receive. And so I started praising everybody who had spoken, sincere praise. And then it didn't matter anymore if I got praise, because praise is the same whether it's coming or going. The act of giving praise is the same as receiving praise. And oddly enough, I did a memorial yesterday, and people did praise me, but I had so much fun going around to every single person who spoke, because we had testimonials, and just saying how their words touched me. And it's such a great way to go through life. Mm-hmm. It opens your heart. The kingdom of heaven is spread upon the earth, but we don't see it. That's one of the ways we get to see the kingdom of heaven. Right? Right? Can I read one of my little disclaimers?
Yeah,
just so people aren't shocked. So if you want to buy the book, there's just one disclaimer in here. This is also something that makes me a little nervous. So I write about how I use the word God sometimes, but I use other words for God. There's that whole feminine, masculine patriarchy thing. I say kingdom, but I use feminine pronouns for God, just to kind of mix it up a little. Some people struggle with heaven. Some people think that flaws are unspiritual. That's another aspect of this, of what I've found in this denomination, is that you have to pretend that you're all spiritual. And you know what? Does that happen in other churches too? You have to pretend you're all spiritual? Yeah. Yeah. What? Only Sister Bertha better than me? Okay, I'm not sure what that means, but okay, I'm good with that, okay. But this last caveat warning is, lastly, I tend to be irreverent. The irreverent reverend, they call me. My irreverence springs from delight in the holy human comedy. I find a willingness to laugh disarms judgment. Some find my irreverent joy problematic. So if you're easily offended, maybe stay away from the chapter about licking the veterinarian. There's more. If you're opposed to profanity, steer clear of the section where I come down with a case of cancer. If you're, I know, cancer. I say a bad word when I get cancer, okay. If you're dainty, you may want to avoid the part about the cashier and his naked burrito. And so it is. Yeah, that's a little... That's not what I call it, but anyway, go ahead. Okay, yeah.
What have been the greatest gifts?
The greatest gifts? Oh, the gifts have been amazing. I may even have a slide. Well, no, the slides are boring now. I've diverged from the slides. The greatest gifts is connection. You know, all this stuff that I do, like I'm an introvert and I try and avoid people at all costs. Sorry, y'all. But the connection, like some of the volunteer things I've been doing lately, like doing interviews for cable TV, I get to meet all of these really great people. And through this process of writing this book, people sharing their stories back to me, saying how the book has helped them, and even saying how the person who was offended by something, even that was a beautiful opportunity to cultivate connection and compassion. And I feel like I understand this person much better, and I made an assumption about him that I shouldn't have made. So it's a beautiful thing. That, and then I get introduced to other people. Like I just got introduced to another author that's going to help me with something else, with some publicity and stuff. And as I mentioned, she has a memoir too, and she's done stuff that's a lot worse than what I did, so I feel really good about that. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful way to connect. My connection with you has been wonderful, to get to know you better. So that's really one of the gifts, and then deeper understanding. And I also feel like my consciousness shifted quite a bit when I wrote this, because there was a lot of self-forgiveness that had to happen in order to be able to write it in a way that was honest and pure. And you know, I still go to the dark side when I encounter things that aren't working. The last couple of weeks have been incredibly stressful because the release of this did not go as smoothly as I had hoped. There were it wasn't anything bad. It was just lots of stuff to deal with at once, and I don't know how to do any of it. And then my dog got sick and ripped open his sutures, and there was this gaping hole in my dog's leg. So all of that, and I still was going to the dark side and making dire predictions. But you know, I can just kind of pick up this book and say, okay, what would Reverend Bonnie Rose say, whoever that is, and maybe give away something, maybe go out and serve a little bit, you know, and it just, so the gifts like that, it helps me, and I'm hoping that it helps others. When I started, when I had no faith in my capacity to write a book, I was like, well, I'll write it, and if it helps one person, if maybe my great nephews understand me a little bit better, understand their old aunt a little bit better, then maybe that'll be good. And then after a while, I was like, well, maybe if it helps 10 people, it'll be okay. And so that, you know, let's just keep that number, because I really do want people to be able to benefit from this. Yeah. It's a very, very non-stuffy approach to spirituality, and I think that a lot of people have been wounded by a very stuffy, demanding approach to spirituality, and really what we teach here is that God is in everything. Love is in everything. You know, if you don't like the word God, call it something else. God, whatever God is, doesn't care. This energy, this fusion of energy is in everything. So that's kind of the gist of the book. I think we have to wrap up, actually. But yeah, it's getting time. We're running a little over.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
But there's also a really sad part too. I just have to warn you. Get a hanky for the part about suffering and joy. And that's about it. We're doing a book signing after. Let me skip through my slides a little bit. We're doing a book signing after the. Keep going. We don't care about that. We'll talk about that another time. Oh, look at that. Okay. Oh, yeah. So that's the dedication to the church. I dedicated part of the book to the church. Your dedication, your willingness to teach and learn, your faith in co-creating a center of love, your patience with me, especially at the beginning. I am the luckiest minister in the world because of you. You are all a blessing beyond measure. I hope this book encourages you as much as you have encouraged me. And then there is one other dedication I want to read. A big thank you to every animal companion who has shared my life. A big thank you to those who love and serve animals. And the biggest thank you of all goes to my husband, Hugh. Your love, encouragement, companionship, loyalty, skill as an actor, writer, and your spiritual wisdom has blessed me and will bless me forever. Namaste.
That's so sweet.
Thank you. Wow. I think that's a good place to stop. There's opportunities to sign up for the class if you want to take it. You can buy a book. I'll sign it for you. Alicia has some books in there. She's got to go right after class because she's got a birthday.
Yeah, my 4-year-old great niece's birthday is
Yay!
today. So cute.
Bring her a heart pin. Bring her something.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you, Bonnie.
So I think we're good, and I think I pray now, and then
Okay.
and then Kelly sings, and then we're good to go. Okay.
Thank you.
All righty.
It was awesome.
Bye. Love you.
Thank you. Love
Okay.
you too.
Love you. Thank you. So I'm going to do a quick prayer because we're running just a tad late, and I have compassion for the people over in youth and family who are eager to, the little children who are eager to come back and see their parents. So let's just know that God is all there is, and that we are one with God, and that everything that has been shared here today through message, music, through fellowship, through telling each other that we're animals, through Alicia's wise words, through the tech, through everything, at this beautiful sanctuary that is a vortex for love and compassion and understanding. Let's just trust together that our lives have been blessed, maybe in ways that are invisible now, but that our lives are uplifted and held in this divine energy, and we have tapped into that source right here and right now. And so I'm so grateful for this time together. I'm so grateful for everyone who said yes to this Sunday, who showed up here with an open heart, who showed up here to learn, and showed up here just to share in this ripple effect of goodness and kindness and love that we do our best to generate from this center. And so with a heart that is so filled with gratitude, I bless all paths to God, all of them, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, Sikh gurdwaras, fundamentalists, atheists, agnostics, all beings everywhere. And I release these words into the divine mystery. And together we say, and so it is. Namaste.
So this song's called A Love Song, Now That You're Gone. And the last song was called Rosemary's Soul. I was so excited to start playing that I forgot to say what it was called. So. I'm writing love songs to the earth and the sky. I'm writing love songs. Don't need no reason why. I'm writing love songs to the peace of my heart. I'm writing love songs to you. Now you're gone. I'm writing these words to tell you I love you. I do. I'm writing these words to tell you I love you. I do. I'm writing love songs to the mountains and the sea. I'm writing love songs to the hummingbirds and the bees. I'm writing love songs to the little girl in me. I'm writing love songs and learning to live free. I'm writing these words to tell you I love you. I do, yeah. I'm writing these words to tell you I love you. I do. I'm writing love songs, 'cause I never could when you were alive. I'm writing love songs. All I did was run and hide. I'm writing love songs, 'cause I never spoke my own truth. I'm writing love songs. Isn't it strange how time changes the story? I'm choosing to remember you in your glory. I do. I'm writing love songs to the earth and the sky. I'm writing love songs. Don't need no reason why. I'm writing love songs to the peace of my heart. I'm writing love songs to you. Now you're gone. I'm writing these words to tell you I love you. I do. I'm writing these words to tell you I miss you. I do. I'm writing love songs. I'm writing love songs. I'm writing love songs. I'm writing love songs. Thank you.
And so I just invite you to turn within one more time just to give thanks for this sacred time that we have spent together. How beautiful it is that we have come together here in this sacred sanctuary, each of us lending our consciousness, knowing that where we are is perfect, where we are in our heart, in our mind, in our being, has been part of this beautiful creation that we have co-created here this morning together. And so I'm just so grateful for transformation, grateful for willingness, grateful for love, grateful for this spiritual center, grateful for the lives that change because of the work that we do, and grateful for all of the ripples that come out from this place. And so with a heart that is so filled with gratitude, I say thank you, Spirit, thank you, love, thank you, God. And I release these words into the divine mystery. And together we say, and so it is. Namaste.